Yo, Natsu here. Second try at this. So, today is part 6 or 7 of What If Deku Could Learn. Earlier today, I had posted a post in the community section of my channel saying that I would probably not do a video tonight or tomorrow. But yeah, I got annoyed at something and I need to walk, so might as well just do it anyway. Since the only reason I wasn't going to do it was because I wasn't going to come out to walk. So yeah, instead of doing it inside where my voice sounds a lot worse because I'm either sitting or crouching or lying down, if I'm outside, might as well just do it. I had explained a few things about Deku's powers. Not completely, but the most important parts. Like, in terms of pure strength, Deku only has around 20% the strength of One For All. Like, at maximum, even with his super strength active. For his parallel minds, during the the Emerald Apple incident, that's when his body became to that point of 20%, like way stronger than before. Since before, yeah, he could move stuff that were heavy, but basically at 10% in the anime, Deku can lift with one arm a steel beam that fell from a building in construction when fighting with Gentle Criminal. Deku could already do that, basically at full strength. But now, well, his strength is the one thing that didn't increase that much, actually. The rest did increase by a lot, though. Example, his accelerated thought, or whatever it is, that lets him think faster. He could only turn 1 second into 3 in his mind, but now he can actually turn it from 1 second to 5. Just like his parallel minds actually divided into, well, gotten one more, I should say. So basically, Deku is better with most things, but the thing that grew the less is his strength. Speed, well, just those two actually. Those are the two that grew the less. They only doubled in power. Well, in number, I should say. Since he can see his stats quantifiably in number form. And basically, yeah, they only doubled. So, compared to the rest that tripled or quadrupled, or even one thing in particular that's actually, what's it called? Sextupled? No, joke. Quintupled is for 5, but the denomination above that, so times 6, that was his magic. Time 4 was his Nen. And basically, the rest of the things were like, his parallel minds. There's one more that came. That is one of the things that increased like that. But basically, he's like on the cusp of getting a fourth one. Like, it forced his mind to go through so much in such small, in 8 hours, basically, that his accelerated thought basically forcefully upgraded by 2 levels when he looks at his stats from the bracelets from the world with magic. It increased by 2 levels. He doesn't see that it's actually also, just like parallel minds, literally on the cusp of going to the next level. So basically passing a second into 6. Though when that reaches the max, it's going to become a lot more powerful, allowing him to do something think way more in a short time. But yeah, for his parallel minds, it's basically, a day or two of keeping them active more and he's going to get the next one. Just like for accelerated thinking, which will take around 3 days. When normally those skills take a few days, well, to months, when constantly active, or when someone uses them normally, since, well, for parallel minds, normally they tell people who have it to only activate it when needed. And for them it can take years to, well, increase, but for Deku, who keeps it on always, it basically just stayed normal. Also, his accelerated healing, while trying to fix the damage, well, quote-unquote damage that the nano machines were doing, basically just kind of transformed, well, increased his self-healing by forcing it to grow, and also made his body kind of grab onto those nanomachines in some of his cells, basically trying to remove the problem that wasn't an actual problem, and basically started to make some himself, which for a while basically just kind of went with the flow and started to modify Deku's body and DNA. But after 8 gruesome hours for him and for everyone looking at him, he was just changing, with his hair color turning from natural green to a pure white. Like, that's not a temporary change, that's his body literally changed like that for good, unless he changed it by using magic or Nen. Basically making Deku, well, a lot more powerful, first of all, but also changed, which will be hilarious. Last thing I want to say before ending this, after basically Deku gets back from that world, he's going to only go back to the magic world, where he's going to try and develop the pocket dimension magic to try and create a world where he can actually house stuff and basically plant some of the, well, the 2 green emeralds he still has to try and make, well, trees that could house fairies so that they can actually live there as well. Basically, like I explained, he wants to create a world where he could probably mix all of the different things from the different world he has to basically try to make something a lot more powerful for him to train in, where he could accelerate that world to an unknown amount just for him to be able to do stuff. As well as one last thing I forgot to say about his transformation. His aging process is going to have been slowed down by a huge amount. Well, it was already slowed down because of his healing, actually. Basically fixing the damage caused by the sickness that is known as aging. Basically, the only reason we age after basically going into our prime and start deteriorating is because our cells and DNA start to basically run out of ability to duplicate as much. Basically starting a decline that over time basically makes us, well, end up dying from having our cells not able to fix damage, creating sickness like cancer, problems with your organs and stuff like that. Biology lesson with Natsu. Yay! Sorry. But yeah, basically Deku's healing was already fixing his DNA from the damage it was causing, though because it wasn't causing too much damage yet, well, he was still aging kind of normally, just like in 2 days he would only age from 1.5. So basically reduce aging only 3/4 of the way of the speed that he would normally have. But now, he will look 9 years old for a long time, though his body is actually going to let him truly age until a certain point, but that's only temporarily. Basically, yeah, it's going to be hilarious at one point, but that's only going to be way later. So yeah, if you're hearing that, that's the trees getting caught in the wind, because yeah, it rained the entire day, which was one of the 2 reasons why I wasn't going to take my walk. The other reason was that I have my legs that are hurting like crazy. Well, now it's a bit less than earlier today, so I think I'm going to be fine. But anyway, those 2 reasons basically made me not want to go anywhere near outside, but I'm still doing it, so yay! Back to the story. Basically, Deku will age until he's about 15, well, in physical age, while he will only get to that age at around 20. Basically, because of his own body already being slowed down. But after that point, basically what is going to happen is that the more he ages, the slower his aging is going to get. Basically, think a Viltrumite from the show Invincible. They can age, obviously. The older they get, the stronger they get. But it's basically the same thing with their powers. Since the older they get, the stronger they get. Well, their regeneration and their slow metabolism basically makes them stop aging at one point from what it looks like. And basically by their 30s, well, for how they physically look, they could already be 500 or 1,000 years old. So when you see an old Viltrumite who basically already looks like someone in our world who is basically stopped working and basically they lived a full life. When you see one that looks like that for a Viltrumite, you basically get the fuck out of there, because that means they're OP as all hell. Deku's basically going to be like that. Though his strength will increase a lot slower. That's the only thing that will be slower, actually. But for the powers themselves, since Deku will start training his body, but basically the rest of his powers will, well, magic, Nan, and everything else, he'll basically train those more because he can just boost his body with those directly, while he can also train his body to be stronger. So he's basically going to do both, but the strength being a lot lower in the importance, ranking. Which is why he only has like 20% of One for All when going all out with his strength, because it's literally all he can do right now. And that's not counting magic or Nan increasing it, which normally you would say, oh, so it increases it by like, well, up to 100 or more %, but no. Basically, when he uses it, he doesn't use it all in one go, obviously. It basically only doubles his max output when only using Nan, and triples it using magic as well. So basically, the max he could do is, well, when using everything, which would gobble his power to an extreme extent, basically making him able to only fight for like 2 or 3 hours at 50% of one for all, 60% of one for all. Which, yes, I know for the world of My Hero Academia, he can beat like 90% of the population. But like I said, Deku will have to fight people coming from outside of his world, who are way stronger than All Might. And in fact, some people of his world will also be boosted because of something well, basically the same reason. Stuff from outside their world, basically increasing their strength. So overhaul will be stronger. All for One will be stronger. All Might is also stronger, so even if you say, oh, he has 50% of one for all, Deku is like twice as strong as normal in this one, and his injury doesn't stop him as much. So basically, even if you would say, oh, but he can just outlast All Might, no, he wouldn't in this world. Because of everything else that I'm doing with it. So, yeah. Basically, the injury was way less, well, damaged on him. Well, did way less damage on him. He can stay in his hero form for longer, and he's also 2 times as powerful as what he is in the anime. So, yeah, Deku would still get his ass handed to him right now. Like, no joke. Also, the only thing me and my friends that did this series didn't really think about at first was One for All. I basically forgot that I told them, well, I still have the text and I just found it like yesterday while looking at everything we said. I said that I wanted to choose who got One for All. I forgot to choose someone, and now I want to ask, well, I'm going to ask someone who wasn't in that group to help me with that. You might know him. Actually, it's one of the people I actually helped for 2 or 3 other what-ifs that he made, and who helped me make a few of my own what-ifs. His YouTuber name is Onizerg. You probably heard of him, obviously. So, yeah, I'm probably going to ask him for some help later. Since, yeah. Because I already know what All Might's current powers are. Since he is stronger, so obviously I have to make him stronger. So he created a few more moves, and a few more things are within his reach. No, he doesn't have a Nexus key, but he is quite powerful in himself. So giving his power to someone basically means they are going to get that. But yeah. So now let's go to, well, Deku, since I basically passed half the video, well, 20 minutes of the video basically explaining, well, a lot of things. So, after Deku finally stopped, well, changing, the guild members and a few other adventurers basically tried to, well, find a place for him to rest. The person that gave Deku the 2 apples basically told them to bring him to his house. Basically, he is a noble, so yeah. The only reason the quest was at the rank it was placed at was because, yes, those apples are hard to find, but the forest where they are found basically only has monsters of about that rank. Which, yes, are strong, kind of. But normally people just go around them and try to look for whatever it is in that forest. So Normally the rank doesn't go too high. And now it started raining again. Woohoo! Yeah. Basically, Deku was brought to that person's house, which he, like I explained, is a noble. Basically, he gave him a room where the people who brought him basically placed him on. Basically, since they knew he was still alive and survived basically eating an entire apple in one go, it means he is strong. And that he was going to get way stronger. And oh fuck, it's getting worse. Yikes. I think that's going to be okay. Like this. Anyway, basically, they brought him there because he could basically pay for whatever, since Deku basically arrived, went on a quest, and didn't have anywhere to sleep yet. Also, if I sound weird right now, it's literally because you're in my sweater because of the rain that started again. It's not that strong, but water on a screen can basically mess up with my video, so I better just hide my phone. Anyway, basically Deku only woke up 2 days later, with him only being able to talk with his parallel minds, with them basically, Deku finding about the third one, and basically not long before awakening, unlocking the fourth one, the fourth one. Damn, I have trouble speaking. Anyway, basically, Deku kind of just was talking with his other minds for the entire time, with them basically trying to plan for something, because obviously if one apple gave them this strength, what would more do? So he basically just kind of didn't want to eat the other ones, but was ready to go look for other fairy trees, as he decided to call them, which wasn't the one where he went before. When he woke up, though, there was actually someone waiting at the foot of the bed, basically a maid, who was waiting for him to wake up. When she saw him wake up, she got out of the room and basically was going to look for her master, the guy who gave Deku the apples. So Deku waited a few minutes, basically tried to get up, actually looked at his body and saw that bandages were put around him, as well as a few things, basically, a few bottles next to him that are either empty or half emptied, which looked like either potions or pill bottles. Basically, he understood that they tried their best to at least help him recover, because obviously he felt the entire pain, his parallel minds felt the entire pain, and with accelerated thought, which was basically forcefully activated by his body trying to fix itself, basically trying to analyze the situation more, Deku felt the entire pain of 8 hours, times 3 for around 4 hours. He felt everything at a 3 times the length, until halfway through at 4 he felt the last 4 hours times 4. So basically he passed 12 gruesome hours for himself, until suddenly it boosted to make him spend another 16 on top of that. Well, for everyone else, it was only 8 hours. Oh yeah, also, that was per parallel minds. So not just Deku, who basically for the entire time, which is 28 hours, had either 3 or 4 minds at once activated, if I count his, and the parallel minds he had, and basically all the way he was stuck feeling from all of them at once, everything at once. And since they were all connected, well, you can guess how much it felt. This is how bad he had it. Though, because he was forced to analyze everything by himself, times 3 and then times 4, after basically a couple of hours. For everyone else, it was basically 6 hours before the fourth mind appeared, though they didn't know about it. While for Deku, it was a lot longer. And it stopped raining. Oh. Well, going back to the normal voice, most likely. So, Deku was basically just feeling way too much pain. That's how I'm going to explain it. So, for him, when he got up, he had actually closed his accelerated thought, exactly because he had just completely enough, and had actually forgot to close it while he was, well, quote-unquote sleeping for everyone else, but in actuality he was just in a coma with his minds all being able to talk to themselves, but not able to move anything of the body. Basically an awake coma where he was able to hear everything outside, he was able to think, but he couldn't move anything. So yeah. So the moment he was able to understand that, oh shit, I have accelerated thought active, he basically closed it saying, not for now. He basically placed his 4 parallel minds to basically try to analyze the entire body and learn of what was happening, because they literally could hear anything, but they couldn't feel anything around their body, and they didn't even know that they had changed that much. Like, Deku felt that he was in pain, but didn't know, until he basically realized that his wings were still out, which did surprise him a bit, as well as for the tail. But seeing their colors was the most shocking for him. Purple. That was neither their original colors, or the colors he had changed them with magic. He basically tried to remove his magic, which wasn't there, though he felt that his Nen, which was basically set to protect him constantly from the nano machines basically trying to control him, was still there. So at least he was sure that whatever it was in the air, which the moment he thought of that, basically one of his parallel minds told him nanomachines. With Deku just saying, what? With the parallel minds basically connecting all to Deku, allowing him to see everything they understood while they had accelerated thought active on all of them except the original mind. And basically, in his body, millions of nanomachines were basically moving around as if they were, well, they're part of Deku's body originally. Basically, they understood that his own cells are now producing them, which, if you want to understand why, basically just think his body can regenerate an entire arm without him needing to eat or drink, so it doesn't matter, mass just comes out of nowhere. That's how you basically have to think of it. Though it's not actually coming out of nowhere, it's basically using his magic and then to create something tangible that will last forever. Because beforehand, before he got Nan or magic, he actually needed to intake either protein, any type of things basically, to actually allow himself to regenerate. Now that he doesn't need it, which he didn't understand why, but that now he knows, basically Nan and magic just forcefully transformed into that. Basically, it just does the same exact thing, but to create the nanomachines. So, yay! Which is the reason why Deku now understand this is the reason why, every time he was regenerating, his magic and Nan were dropping slowly, as well as then being, increased a bit. He basically decided to check his status, which he didn't have it on his arm anymore. He saw it on the table next to him, basically placed it on again, hoping that it didn't break or something, and saw that it was still working. Deku decided to try and do something, basically forgetting that he wanted to check his stats, and it was create a new one with either Nan or magic using his creation. Which he also decided to think, what if I use the new machines that are in the air? Basically understanding now that it's what people call magic. He doesn't yet understand that everything is just science. He just think, something happened and that's basically something that's everywhere. But yeah, he's going to realize fast that, oh shit, this is what they call magic. This is everything they call magic. This is science. That's just so far ahead. But yeah, basically he decided to try and use both magic and nanomachines inside of his body or outside, and outside, to try and create another bracelet. Which basically took him around 2 minutes after reactivating Accelerated Mind and putting all of his parallel minds on that single duty. Basically, all of that, since he woke up and that the maid went out, happened in less than 5 minutes. Which is when an adventurer, which was basically the guy that went with Deku, as well as the noble that basically requested for the apples, basically entered and basically saw him fiddling with, the bracelet he had. Basically, he created another bracelet, put his original one in his bag when he started hearing people coming, and basically placed the new one on his wrist before trying it. Basically trying it right before they actually arrived, and seeing, a massive amount of changes. Mostly his magic and Nan having increased, with his magic being 6-fold and his Nan being 4-fold. So basically, massive increase. For his strength and speed being doubled, and basically everything else just kind of at different ranking. But seeing that he really grew a lot. When he created the new one, though, he tried to think about making him able to see the proficiency he has with skills, which allows him to see that his thought acceleration is basically on the limit of growing to the next level, and basically just decided to put his parallel minds on it to activate it and force it to grow, as well as telling them to activate more things like making his Nen and magic basically be near constantly used, basically trying to increase their power a bit more. Basically, the noble and the adventurer asked Deku if he was okay, with him saying that yeah, but he feels a bit, a lot stronger. With the noble telling him that, well, with you having advanced from a common to a high, it shouldn't be surprising. Deku not understanding at first until the adventurer basically grabbed a pocket mirror that he had in one of his bags and basically gave it to Deku, with Deku's first reaction not being to look in it but asking why do you have that, with the adventurer saying that, well, it's useful to look around corners, with Deku just saying and then looking and actually seeing that his eye color changed, his hair color changed, and actually that Deku basically notices that, but nobody else really does. His face changed a tiny bit. The only reason he noticed it is because of him being able to augment his eyes capability and basically seeing every little detail that changed and just kind of thinking, oh god. Like, for anyone else, yeah, he looks basically normal except with the eyes and hair that changed. But for him, who was looking at it really way too closely, his face changed a bit in shape, being a bit slimmer now, with his eyes actually looking a bit, more, higher on his face. Like, not even a millimeter of, but him still spotting it. Basically, he just said that this isn't magic, this is weird. With the adventurer telling him that, welcome to our world. Basically, the noble thinking it's just a joke, from Deku basically seeing it for the first time, while they were having to deal with him basically transforming. But Deku and the adventurer basically were thinking of something else. More of, welcome to what it feels like for everyone that lived here. Basically telling him that, basically sending the message that you changed basically like us right now. Deku basically tries to retract his wings and tail, which works, which the noble basically just asks what happened, with Deku saying that it's nothing, and basically taking them out again. Then, in growing his hand, shrinking it down back to normal, basically trying to see if anything else is different, basically forcefully changing his hair color, with the color he was trying to go being green again, like his original self, working, but the moment he stopped using magic, it went back to white. Basically, the noble asked if he was a mimic, with Deku saying that no, he's not, he's something different, but that it doesn't matter right now. Basically asking where he is precisely, with the noble telling him that he's at his house. Deku saying thanks for the hospitality, which the noble basically laughs at this because, it doesn't really matter right now. Then Deku heard a voice coming from the hallway where the door was opened, with the noble saying that yes, you can come in. Seeing 2 girls and 3 guys basically entering the room. Basically, the noble telling Deku, this is my wife and daughters, and the 3 adventurers that are still alive from the curse. Thanks to you, it was broken, and they wanted to say thanks. Deku just looking at them and just sincerely saying congratulations on your recovery. With them laughing a bit and saying that they should say that to him. Basically, the daughter saying that she heard that he ate an entire apple in one go, which was crazy, and even eating the core and seeds, which normally can even kill dragons. Basically, from the pure amount of pain that comes from the transformation. Sorry about that, I put you back inside my sweater because rain started to pour a bit again. Though this time it's more of an annoying rain than just a hard rain. And if you heard a weird scratching sound, it was me trying to remove the amount of water that was already on my phone. Sorry about that. Anyway, basically Deku said that he wasn't taking a risk. With the noble's wife telling him that no, it was crazy. With the adventurers telling him that he should really not have survived this. Until Deku basically was able to calm them down a bit, saying that he has an explanation for it, with them asking what it is, even the adventurer and the noble being interested in the answer, with Deku saying that he could already regenerate. Basically, grabbing his arm, just under his wrist, and basically forcefully removing his hand. Everyone there just freaking out, with Deku basically grabbing someone from his bag to basically cover the blood. And then basically started to force the nanomachines, the Nen, and the magic to basically form back new cells. And basically regrew his hand in a matter of 10 minutes. Basically them just looking at first until they saw that it was healing, and then just kind of saw that and were like, so you can heal. That's interesting. Devils don't normally have that ability. Are you a mixed breed? Basically this being the wife of the noble, with Deku saying that you could call him something like that. Basically the noble telling them to leave the room now, telling Deku that when he's ready he can come down to eat something. And basically him coming down, like I said, about 10 minutes later, with his hand fully healed. Oh, the water. Good thing my phone's under my vest, because that would be really annoying. Seriously annoying. Basically I'm under a bridge right now, so yeah, there's going to be echo and water falling off the side. Anyway, basically when they saw his hand fully back when he came down, they told him that his healing is really surprising. With him saying that, yeah, he's impressed as well, because beforehand, before eating the apple, it would have taken him probably a day to heal that. which he's lying a bit, undermining it. Basically, it would only have taken like 2 or 3 hours since he got magic and Nen. But yeah, if it was alone, he would have needed to eat like about 3 times the mass that he had in his hand, just for him to use up energy as well as to use matter to create it, well, recreate it. Basically saying that after the apple, it probably increased that much just from eating it, but also from constantly being used and forcefully being increased. Basically, the noble then pointed Deku to a chair, saying that he can sit there, Deku sitting, and the meal arriving not long after. Basically, they kept talking for a few hours, asking Deku a few questions, until the daughter actually asked a question that was really hilarious for a few people, because Deku actually shrank down in size, basically back to his original 9 years old. And basically asking Deku if that's his true age isn't 20, but actually closer to 9 or 10. Deku basically just scratching the back of his head, because he didn't actually think of changing back, and basically said that he had to do that because it's a lot harder to actually move around while just looking like a kid. And with him actually being stronger than, well, most normal adults, it's kind of hard to just move around anyway. With the noble basically laughing, telling Deku that before leaving the house he should probably change back, though keeping the white hair, since a lot of people actually saw that change. Until the adventurer that went with Deku basically said that no, actually by this point he should probably keep that image. A few people asking why, with him saying that the news actually went all around that the new adventurer that actually completed the Apple Quest ate one and his body modified and regressed in age. So if he changed back now, people would get suspicious of something. Deku thinking, oh. Then the adventurer is saying that they don't think though that he is actually younger, they just think the apple actually modified his body so much that he just regressed physically. Basically saying that normally people who eat them and survive only eat a small portion of it, but he ate the entire thing, so people would most likely believe that you had so much power coursing through you that it just kind of regressed you. With Deku saying that, yeah, that's also pretty understandable. And even more with how everything had basically happened. The noble basically told Deku that if he wants to relax for a few more days before leaving, with Deku saying that he's going to be fine. Basically saying that his body, he checked his entire body, and he's perfectly fine. With them saying, are you sure? Internal damage might have be still there. With Deku just saying that no, he checked that as well. Basically, at first passing it off as an offhand comment, until realizing what he just said. With the nobleman's daughter asking what does he mean. With Deku just kind of thinking fast about it, and basically trying something that he had never done before, but just trying to think, hope this works, and basically tried to create a clone of himself using the same ability to create weapons or that he used to create his clothes. Oh yeah, also his clothes had disappeared since he needs to stay conscious of creating them with Nen. So for a while he was basically nude, but they basically thought that because of his body changing, they basically ripped off, or were kind of just absorbed in his body from his body just modifying so much. So they basically gave him other clothes, which when he came back down, he had back his original clothes, though smaller for his own size, which basically nobody had actually asked about, thinking that in his bag, which none of them could actually use, for them it's basically just an empty bag, since Deku needs to actually pour magic into it to open it. So none of them having actual magic weren't able to use it, but since they had seen, well, a few people had seen Deku put the money and the apples into the bag, well, and the apple into the bag, they knew it was, well, simple, that he could put stuff there, just didn't know how to take stuff out for them. So basically the noble and the adventurer, basically just thought, oh, he had clothes into his bag. Basically the others didn't ask any questions about it when they actually entered. They asked when they left the room for the 10 minutes that Deku was recovering his hand. And basically they had seen the different clothes on him, asked to the nobleman and adventurer, with the adventurer saying that he has a magic bag, so it probably wasn't there and he changed before we got in, with them taking that as the answer. The nobleman basically just kind of, well, was still looking at Deku for the answer with everyone else, which is when he basically tried to copy his body, basically them feeling a pull from all around them, which is actually them sensing what they call magic, which is actually nanomachines, basically all pulled in a single spot, with Deku basically using nanomachines, magic, and Nen from inside his body, and basically the nanomachines around him to basically make a clone of himself, which kind of worked, actually, surprising Deku the most. Then, just kind of looking a bit exhausted, saying that he basically did that, which is a perfect replica of his own body, and then checked everything from there. Basically dispelling the clone, since he didn't actually create it with creation. He literally tried to use the Nen ability to create stuff, and just supplemented the Nen with magic, as well as giving it more form with nanomachines, hoping for the best result possible. Which was great, though it was basically just an empty husk with nothing inside. Basically saving Deku's ass, and basically making people see that he was exhausted after that, asking him if he was okay, with him saying that he's going to be fine in a few minutes, and that he normally doesn't do that too often. He normally just creates weapon, basically making a weapon out of only Nen, and saying that this is way easier. Making the weapon disappear, reabsorbing the Nen, and making everyone just stupefied. Saying that normally people can only control magic with items and stuff, but he's able to use it just naturally. With Deku saying that it's a secret, so please keep it quiet. With basically the noble, his wife and daughter basically accepting it directly, and basically the three adventurers kind of saying yes but not really wanting it, until Deku just looked at them and told them that if they say it, he's going to make them even worse than when they were cursed. Basically making them accept for real, because they didn't want that. like Deku literally scared the shit out of them enough for them to not do anything. Since obviously he might look like a kid, but they understand that first he found the apples after almost 2 years of being in a coma for them, having the curse that was basically eating at their life, which in reality was basically just some nanomachines absorbing, well, trying to destroy their DNA with potions, quote unquote, and other things like that being used to try and, well, make them live longer, which was basically other nanomachines that were trying to repair their DNA. So, yeah. And basically the only reason the apples were absolutely needed to basically heal that was because the nanomachines in the apples are able to reconfigure other nanomachines to do what they are supposed to do, or completely change what a nanomachine was doing to do something completely different. So basically removing the curse by forcing it to heal the person until those nanomachines are destroyed. Basically making a time limit before they have to leave the body, so that the body doesn't continuously repair itself too much. So yeah, basically they knew that if the kid was able to find those and then eat one and live, because normally eating a single bite can sometimes kill people who aren't strong enough, while he ate the entire thing and survived after changing so much. Yeah, they don't want to anger him at all. Basically, after the meal, Deku went out, basically found himself an inn to, well, stay at, and basically for nearly 3 months just kind of went with the flow, making some quests, training himself at the control of nanomachines, and actually over time learning that, oh, this is everything that people call magic. Everything is just science. Actually, he controls some of the nanomachines to basically scan the DNA of a few monsters while on the quests, as well as the DNA of multiple beastmen in the cities. Understanding that basically everything is just bioengineered, and that this is thousands of years after that was done. Well, no, millions and millions, I should say. With Deku actually finding, well, when putting, well, controlling the nanomachines in a super large area of the city, he only had found 5 humans in total, with 2 of them being enslaved, and the 3 others just basically being people who were hiding most of the time. He didn't really say anything about it to anyone, but yeah, he was thinking about it a few times. But he just thought, yeah, humans are basically the black sheeps here, so it's not that weird. I'm going to end it here. Hope you liked it. Leave a like if you did. And Natsu out.